Glad to be joined by Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama. Join him on his show Mondays through Fridays, 2 to 4 Central Time, Fox 97.9, The Way It Is. Of course, subscribe to my YouTube channel for the very best in college football coverage from myself and also analysis from the best bloggers and broadcasters in the industry. I believe that you even made the comment, and I've heard it elsewhere, Stephen, that it's a father-son type coaching matchup from a football standpoint, of course, with Nick Saban being one of Kirby Smart's main mentors in his coaching development. We also have a bit of a family affair of reality that's the actual blood involved between Ridley, a wide receiver who's caught 8 passes this season for Georgia, Calvin Ridley, the more decorated and celebrated player there for Alabama. Have you ever, can we recall any matchup like this where we've had a BCS championship game or a national championship game with brothers? But this is an interesting little narrative and dynamic to the story.
It's a very creative storyline because you look at both guys. Calvin Ridley, the pure route runner, he's 6'1", 109 pounds. Caven, or as he prefers to go by Riley Ridley. I understand it's Calvin without the L, Caven, but Caven 6'3", a little bit over 200 pounds. A guy that has the big body, huge range, tremendous athletic ability. And what was crazy was I remember when Calvin signed with Alabama in 2015. During that same time period, or a little bit after Calvin's freshman year, you had that 2016 class. And I remember during the All-America game, somebody had approached Calvin Ridley about would he come to Alabama, would he join Calvin. Calvin ends up giving that commitment to Georgia. And some people talked about how it was Calvin who kind of influenced his brother to go to Georgia, seeing how you want to make your own path, you want to blaze your own trail, you want to start your own career. And I kind of understand that. You look at a lot of times in the SEC, if somebody is more of a legacy guy, you want to follow them. Case in point, Archie Manning played at Ole Miss. Son Cooper Manning goes to Ole Miss. Everybody thought Peyton Manning would fall under the same umbrella. Did not happen. And then when Eli Manning goes to Ole Miss, everything kind of goes back full circle. So in this situation, Caven doesn't follow Calvin to Alabama, but he's trying to blaze his own path, blaze his own trail with the Georgia Bulldogs. There's actually a pretty cool picture floating around social media from 2014 of Calvin and Caven standing side by side. And if you look at that picture, Caven makes Calvin look like a little kid because he's just towering over him. Now, yes, he is about 2 to 3 inches taller and a couple of pounds bigger than Calvin, but both guys have a tremendous amount of respect for each other. And I'm pretty sure some text messages have been flowing back and forth the past couple of days of, well, bro, coming to play you. Yeah, bro, I know. Don't rough me up too bad. I'll try not to, but we'll see.
Well, Riley might stand a little taller side by side, but of course, Calvin's career numbers and accomplishments dwarf what Riley's been able to accomplish there at Georgia thus far. In place of Amari Cooper, who had the huge 2014 campaign, moved on to the NFL. Of course, Calvin took over as Alabama's #1 wide receiver, caught 89 out of the gate as a freshman with 7 touchdowns, has been extremely productive, even in an offense with a young developing quarterback that is more runner than passer, even with the ground and pound mentality, and that being the smart way to play most of the time with the defense and with the lead, as Alabama's enjoyed it most of the time. So that's limited Calvin Ridley's exposure to the long ball down the field, but he's certainly come up big when he has been needed. You mentioned right off the top, Stephen, the comparison of Julio Jones and A.J. Green, and what a wide receiver duel that was, Alabama, Georgia, and then carrying into the NFL. They have both become mega stars at the next level. What are your thoughts about Calvin Ridley and his place in Alabama football lore? I'm not discounting his possible senior season, but he may move on to the next level. Where do you think he places, and what we're going to remember about Calvin Ridley?
I think he's right there. I mean, I understand Julio Jones, the ambassador of Alabama football, when he donned the hat and gloves in 2008, helped Alabama win the Coast in recruiting, And then we know the story, comes to the Crimson Tide, strong freshman year. Sophomore year, a bit hampered by a hand injury. Junior year in 2010, Julio Jones gets a metal plate inserted into that hand and has a 1,000-yard season, becomes a first-round draft pick. Same kind of ordeal with Amari Cooper, burst onto the scene. It wasn't meant at first for Amari Cooper because he and Chris Black came in at the same time. And I remember the conversation was Chris Black, somebody that came out of Jacksonville, Florida. Not the biggest guy, but great speed. Very, very quick, very explosive. But Chris Black gets hurt in fall camp. DeAndrew White, another guy that was supposed to have the very high-end 2012 season, hurts his knee. And Amari Cooper forced to step up and did a great job. 1,000 yards as a freshman, 11, 12 touchdown receptions on 59 catches. The next year, suffered from a turf toe, a small toe injury, 45 catches, 736 yards, 4 touchdowns. And then his junior year, had the explosion, 127 catches, 1,727 receiving yards and 16 touchdowns. So, both of those guys, Jones and Cooper, the big freshman year, a little bit of a small slump as sophomores, and had the big year as juniors. Calvin Ridley has almost fallen into that same tier, though his sophomore year was not hampered by injuries. It's just you had to adjust your game to a true freshman quarterback in Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts has made some improvements from year 1 to year 2. Granted, it's not the big boom improvements, but he's done the little things nonetheless. So I feel like as far as receptions, yards, touchdowns, Calvin Ridley will be remembered as the smooth, pure route runner, solid blocker. May not be the physical freak Julio Jones was, or just the guy that had just all the attention to detail that Amari Cooper had, but a solid route runner, a guy that made the big catch when you wanted him to make the big catch. He's right there as far as the fan base is concerned.